You are now entering Night Storm Nation.
All I have to say is this.
Child abuse.
If you are one of those people
Divorce.
that have been put down all of your life,
Infidelity.
beat up and trapped in a pit of woe,
Depression.
it is time for you to stand up with the Night Storm Nation, because we aren't going anywhere.
I'm YG Nightstorm, the man not afraid to be transparent, as I help real people with real issues. And my co-host is my queen, my stunningly gorgeous wife,
Toby George Nightstorm, the woman not afraid to tell the truth about how things really are. And this is Night Storm Radio. Radio gone real because we are you.
Yeah, now Nightstorm Nation, if you're in the ATL, please call in at 404-355-8699. And to all the Nightstorm Nation members around the country, please call at 1-866-923-2860. Now find out more about us on Nightstorm.com, and you can also listen to our show from the Talk Radio page on our website and also on Love860.com, baby.
That's right. And all you smartphone owners out there, don't forget that you can download the app for either iHeartRadio, Tunein Radio, or iRadionow, and take us with you everywhere you go, anywhere in the world.
Cool. So what's on tap for the day, baby?
Well, YG, since you asked.
Yes.
As always, we're going to have some fun and we're going to learn something new today. Now, since Mr. Jack Frost thought the city looked so good in white, he just had to do it twice. We didn't have the opportunity to speak to our guest last week. But the snow and ice are gone, ATL, and even though it's cloudy today, we still have some beautiful springtime temperatures. And it's a good time for us to get our pets out there. So you pet owners, get your four-legged friends out to have some fun and get some exercise. But if you still need some help in the training department, our first guest is going to speak to us and give us tips on training our canines. Now, later in the show, we will talk about moving our life away from fear and into love. And then I hope our listeners didn't think we forgot about our contest.
Right.
We had a contest. We had been announcing it ever since January that we were going to give two Night Storm Nation business owners the chance to come on and speak for 5 minutes. And they are here.
Yes,
and we're going to hear from them.
Right.
Not for them, from them during the show. A little tongue-tied there.
That's all right. Now, before we get into all that, you know we got to talk about the Night Storm letter. Each week, folks send us letters about what's going on in their lives. And, sweetheart, do you mind if I read the first letter, man?
Well, go right ahead, sir.
Okay. Now, this Night Storm Nation member says, in my short 22 years of life, I have discovered that I am not a people person. They lie, cheat, and steal from you and don't care about breaking your heart. Loyalty is not a word that is in most folks' vocabulary. That's why I celebrated this past Valentine's Day with my dog.
All righty then.
She is my best friend and loves me unconditionally. If I can just get her to stop biting my house guests and pooping in the living room, my life would be perfect. Ain't that something?
Okay.
Now, it's a good thing we got somebody in the studio that's an expert on helping folks deal with their dogs. So, Jared, if you can cue that music, please, so we can introduce him right. And here we go. Oh, yeah.
All right. Here we go now.
Night Storm Nation, if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Here we go. Our first guest is the president of Comprehensive Pet Therapy, Inc., or CPT for short. He is a nationally recognized pet trainer with numerous competition titles as a competitor and coach. His organization has trained close to 50,000 dogs and 80 cats. In addition, working alongside Emory University's Neuroscience Department, CPT designs and performs groundbreaking government-funded research projects that are improving the understanding of canine cognition, emotions, receptive communication, and sensory perception. So, ladies and gentlemen of Night Storm Nation, it is my honor, privilege, and pleasure to introduce to you the man, Mr. Mark Spivak. Yes!
Great to be part of the nation, YG.
How you doing, sir?
I am doing great.
That's what's up. Now, Mark, Mark and I, we actually met in the gym.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Okay, and he was getting his weights on. And
You're home away from home.
Yes, home away from home. But he was telling me about some really, really deep things that we really wanted him on. So, Mark, tell us how you became involved in dog training, and how long have you been doing it, sir?
I've had CPT since 1992, so now we're going on 22 years in business, and we've been very successful. I started just as a hobbyist training dogs, got intoxicated with it, and started competing. People started seeing me with my dogs, were very impressed, and said, "Hey, will you train my dog?" And at first I said, no, this isn't what I do for a living. But then so many people asked, and I said, hey, maybe this is my calling. Maybe I should listen to the people. And so then I started CPT. I had an MBA from Berkeley, so I put the MBA to application by combining my avocation with my vocation, and that was 22 years ago and 50,000 dogs ago.
Wow. And 80 cats. Don't forget about
And 80 cats,
I was
right.
sitting here like, how do you train a cat?
Well, most of the cats aren't obedience work, they're behavioral work. Okay. So cats that don't use the litter box, cats that aren't very social with guests or with other animals in the house.
Okay.
Now, your company, CPT, has become known as Atlanta's most respected pet training company. So you've also been the pet expert on Channel 11 on Saturday Morning News, and you've authored an article featured in a major academic neuropsychology journal, and you've authored Pet Experts. Now, tell us all about that.
Yes.
Well, what's really neat that I'm doing right now is the neuroscience research. Our team at Emory was the first team worldwide that ever trained animals to take an MRI without sedation or restraints. Now, that probably seems a little confusing at first to say, what's the big deal? But the animals can't move more than 2 millimeters within any spatial plane for the duration of each trial repetition, which is 26 seconds. Now, you think 2 millimeters, that's not very far at all.
Right.
And they have to do it amidst 96 decibel sound and in an enclosure that provokes anxiety with a lot of people. But it allows us to actually literally see inside their brains to see what's going on, because what we do is called functional MRI. So we see brain activity, and we're doing marvelous things to learn about canine cognition, what they're thinking, their emotions, and what this ultimately will do is help us to better identify and train dogs for the military, explosive detection dogs and service dogs for wounded warriors.
Wow.
Wow. See, now that's deep. Now, you're talking about not moving 2 millimeters.
Correct.
That's hard for a human being to do.
Very hard.
But you're able to train, man's best friend to be able to lie still so you can have those kind of tests, sir. I mean, that's incredible.
And we do it all with positive reinforcement. We do what's called behavior shaping to gradually teach the dogs to remain more still until they're absolutely motionless. We also developed a proprietary chin rest that helps facilitate the static positioning and helps them return to the same position so that we scan their brain in the proper areas.
Wow. Okay. See,
Now, I've been in an MRI machine.
Yeah,
that
me too.
Is not fun. You feel like you're in a coffin, and they say, "Don't move, hold your breath." And I'm like, oh gosh! I'm like, think of the beach, think of the beach, think of the beach.
And we've published 3 papers and getting nice attention. The PBS program Nova will be featuring us in April, and actually Anderson Cooper is coming by this Saturday with his 60 Minutes crew to film our team both at Emory and at CPT.
That's what's up. And we're going to get into that a little bit more, but I got a question now, okay, because now you have performed, like we said, as an expert witness on dog behavior and training in more than 15 civil and criminal cases. So how do you go from dog trainer to being involved in those type of criminal cases, sir?
Well, I used to be in the corporate world.
Okay.
And so I'm very analytical. It's a matter of combining my expertise in dog behavior to applications that are required by either plaintiffs or defendants and their attorneys to help win a case. And as you know from the gym, I'm very competitive.
Yes,
so it's a matter of winning.
He was in there lifting with me, sweetheart. He was like, yeah, I got it. And I'm like, hey, you got it. Go ahead.
And to lift with YG, you got to put up some real weight. You got to be competitive.
Yes, definitely. I've been and watched and go, oh, that's nice, dear. Yeah.
Not everyone can join the nation lifting with YG. It's an exclusive.
Oh, there he go. There he go. Flattery would get you everywhere on this show. Ask my wife. I flatter her so I get everything I want. Okay, now one quick thing, though, because I want to go back to this NYGHTSTORM Nation letter, and Toby has a second letter, this designed specifically for you, because when we let out the notes that you're going to be here folks start, emailing. And so this gentleman who says that his best friend is his dog. Okay. And we know Valentine's Day just recently passed, and we had this snowstorm, so people were enclosed either with human beings or animals. He said that the loyalty factor was just null and void in a lot of humans that he's interacted with. But with his dog, he found more comfort and solace. So can you kind of tell the Night Storm Nation members out there, like, how does that work when you can find just comfort in a dog and as that relates to human beings? Well,
pet owners would realize this, that sometimes we act outside of how we really want to act. Say, man, I wish I could take that back. And if we do it to a loved one, we may have to bring back flowers, which is nice. But our dog licks us and is happy to see us anyway. We don't even need any flowers. A treat is nice, but they're going to love us anyway.
That's right.
The dogs provide us unconditional love. And that's something that we're actually studying in the project. But through selective breeding over 14,000 years, the domestic dog understands our body language, understands our verbal communication, even better than animals that are believed to be closer to us genetically, like primates. It's a unique relationship. And so dogs they can help us lower our blood pressure, their presence. They can help people who are depressed or anxious with their presence. That's one reason we train service dogs, too, for people who have psychiatric disabilities. The dogs are highly beneficial. So even for someone that may not have a mental illness but is just alone, the dog is a great companion. But still, a trained dog is a better companion than an untrained dog. And a trained dog is a happy dog and is more likely to be owned by a happy owner. Because like kids, dogs like structure. They like to know the rules, and they like to oblige those rules so that their owners are pleased with them.
Well, and I am so glad that you went into that, because my next question for you was going to be, what are some services that CPT offers?
CPT has group classes, private instruction at our training center in Sandy Springs. We go to client homes and perform in-home private lessons. And we also have a fantastic board training program where our trainers will let client pets live with them for a period of 3 to 4 weeks. We train the dogs, and then we train the owners after we return the dogs. That's called board training. And the services encompass a variety of training modes. It can be basic obedience, sit down, come stay, advanced off-leash pet obedience. It can be household manners, chewing, barking, housebreaking like in the first letter, chewing, digging, raiding trash, chasing the cat, bolting out the front door, car behavior. It can be complex behavior modification, aggression reduction, anxiety reduction. A lot of dogs get distressed when they're left alone and they destroy the house. And we can provide the dogs and the owners both a higher quality of life by extinguishing that problem.
Wow. That kind of goes right on into
it. It goes into this letter.
Yeah.
An like unintentional segue, but I'm happy to please him.
I mean, he's psychic.
Karma.
We're going to go into this next letter, which I think you kind of halfway answered. But it goes, Dear Night Storms, I have 2 beautiful Malteses, which are a mix of Maltese and Shih Tzu, and they are almost 2 years old. My problem is, even though they are taken out constantly, they still use the bathroom in the house occasionally, and they don't even let me know that they need to go out. Once we're outside, I have a problem with them darting off and chasing people, other animals. And when you go to pet them, they'll nip at the fingers of whoever it is, even me. So what do you suggest?
Wow. See, that what I'm talking about, psychic ability. He's not just a dog whisperer. He's a people whisperer.
I know. Right?
Well, there are 2 separate issues there. We'll hit the housebreaking issue first. Housebreaking is usually an issue of structure. Preventing the dog from making errors and setting the dog up for success. We advocate, in most cases, crate training. The crate is a natural den for the dog where the dog naturally will not wish to urinate or defecate. Dogs do not like to soil their den area. And that enables us to teach the dog what's called sphincter control. It may not sound great over the radio, but basically the dog needs physical and psychological control of that muscle that helps retain the urine or the feces. And the crate, by keeping the dog there until designated times, it teaches the dog a particular schedule. If you wait patiently, you won't soil your den, and we'll take you out at this designated time. And dogs have a marvelous internal clocking mechanism. So if we provide them a consistent schedule, they will learn to patiently await that schedule. And then we also want to teach the dog what's called a substrate preference. So for most dogs that we train, we like them to go on pine straw, especially in the South. And so if the dog loves pine straw, the dog will wait for an opportunity to go on pine straw and then will not go on hardwood, ceramic tile, linoleum, carpet, etc. But the main problem people have when people ask me, well, why does my dog go to the bathroom in the house? The answer is simple, because you allow it. So a lot of it is using that crate, supervising the dog closely, and preventing errors, and then setting the dog up for good habits so that the dog becomes housebroken and can be left alone in the home responsibly.
I know some dogs, they will scratch at the door to let you know that they have to go out. But it seems like these dogs, they're not scratching or doing anything. They'll just go. So how would they get the dog to start? You can't put the dog's paw up and say, here, scratch the door.
Well, a lot of it is the dog wanting to go out.
Right.
I compare housebreaking often to potty training a child. The first stage of potty training a child is teaching the child, Mommy and Daddy want you to use the potty, not your diapers. But the child is still far from potty trained until the child says, I don't want to use my diapers. I want to use the potty.
That's right.
Same for the dog. You can teach the dog, Mommy and Daddy want you to use the pine straw, not the hardwood. But until the dog says, I want to use the pine straw and I don't want to go on the hardwood, the dog won't signal.
So it's kind of like with children, when the dog feels empowered to go. Like, this is me, this is what I want to do, as opposed to being forced to do it.
Well, it's really, what the dog wants to do. And for the dogs that are allowed to go in the house and are comfortable with it, they get positively reinforced for going in the house, which is why structure is required, because the dog gets comfort. The dog has a full bladder and then goes, as it pees on the hardwood, it feels good. I'm a lot more comfortable now.
Right.
So we have to put the dog in the crate where the dog gets distressed urinating, learns to hold it, learns those skills physically, and then says, I want to go outside. I need to signal. And so then we foster a communication method, and everything moves forward from there.
All right. Now, I want to say this because I know we're running out of time, but so how can people get in contact with you and your amazing organization and business, sir?
Well, we have a website, www.cpt-training.com. Again, that's cpt-training.com. And that will have loads of information about the company, videos, pricing, whatever they need. They can also call us at 404-236-2150. I'll repeat that, 404-236-2150. Or they can email me personally at markcpt@aol.com.
There you go. Now, Night Storm Nation, I have learned so much from Mr. Mark Spivak, and he just got down and did his thing, and he's doing his thing with Anderson Cooper and a whole bunch of folks. So make sure you go to his website, get his expertise, and anything.
Call him and get the answer, because we didn't get a chance to answer the question about nipping. So call him, and he'll tell you how to get them to stop doing that.
He will set your babies straight. Now, on the other end of the break, we're going to get into some more folks, some entrepreneurs doing their thing big. But thanks for listening to Night Storm Radio on LoveX60.com. If I can remember where we at, I'll see you on the other end of the break. Bye.
Bye.
You ever been so depressed to where you want to hurt yourself because life has been unkind, unfair, and unforgivable? Folks done hurt you and thrown you away? Yeah, I know, because I was there too. Until I read this book by NYGHTSTORM called All Action No Talk. This dude has been there, man. He understands us. He was homeless, abused as a child, abandoned by his dad, and even his oldest son passed away. I'm encouraged because if this dude can make it, so can I, and so can you. So check it out at nightstorm.com, NYGHTSTORM. And know that you have the strength to change your life despite adversity. Like him. Like me. Like you.
Hey, you, guy or gal that's listening. Are you enjoying the Night Storms? good. If you want the 411 on me, YG Nightstorm,
and me, Toby George Nightstorm, a.k.a. Lady Nightstorm, visit nightstorm.com. That's NYGHTSTORM.com. Check out our informative blogs, videos, and see what Nightstorm Nation is doing to benefit the community. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
Thanks again for listening to the Night Storms on Nightstorm Radio every Thursday at 11 a.m. to noon on Love 860 a.m. Atlanta's inspirational station. We are you.
Hi everyone, it's me, Lady Nightstorm, and have I got news for you. Want to know how to keep up with us and what we're doing in the community? It's easy. Just like us on Facebook at Nightstorm Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Nightstorm Radio and become part of the Nightstorm Nation mailing list at nightstorm.com. That's NYGHTSTORM. Keep up with all our promotions, contests, and latest happenings. Nightstorm Radio. We are you.
You are now rocking with the Night Storms on Atlanta's inspirational station, Love 860 AM WAEC. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to Nightstorm Radio. If you would like to call in and be a part of the conversation, you can reach us at 404-355-8699 in Atlanta area and at 866-923-2860 everywhere else. YG, you know, all during the month of January, we let our wonderful listeners know that we were giving showing our nation some love, right?
Yes,
We've been saying it, and we tried to have it for Valentine's Day, but you know, Mother Nature and Jack Frost got together and did their thing.
They were hating. They were hating hard,
They gave us a little more love than we expected from them. So, but we are here with our guest, who is our first contest winner, and they get 5 minutes each to let ATL and everywhere else know all about them.
That's right. Now, it's all clear skies in the ATL right now, sunny outside, and we have our first guest, and who is she?
Well,
who is she?
Well, Nightstorm Nation, are you ready to meet our first business owner? Well, let's get our pen and paper and our smartphones ready so we can save this information, because I guarantee you're going to want to use this service. Cue that music.
Cue that music.
Turn
that up, Jerry. Turn that up.
There we go.
Come on with it, Toby.
Our first Nightstorm Nation winner is the owner of Sweet Creations, and she is ready to tell you all about why you're going to want to know who she is. It's the one and only Miss Christine Abdul.
Yeah! What's up, Christine?
Hello.
Come on, let us hear you. What was that? Hey, Christine.
How y'all doing?
All right, there you go. You on Nightstorm Radio, girl. You gonna have to pump it up a little bit now, right in here. All right.
So Christine, what do you specialize in? But first thing I want to know is, why in the world you start your business in the first place? Why?
Well, I've always enjoyed cooking. I come from a large family that loves cooking, and they've always said, Christine, other people need to taste this. Mm-hmm. So I decided that this was my year, and I'm stepping out, so here I am.
All righty then. She stepped right on out to Nightstorm Radio, Nightstorm Nation. Let me say, I want to thank you for going on nightstorm.com and signing up to be a part of Nightstorm Nation, subscribing to our newsletter, because that's how we picked you. We told y'all to go on the website. See, y'all missing out now. So what inspired you to get started? I know people said you need to let other folks say this, but it takes some nerve to say, you know, I got to invest in this and do whatever. What inspired you to get started? Because that first step of getting started is so hard for people.
It is. It was very hard, but it's one of my passions. I really enjoy cooking, and I said, you know what? If I love it so much, why not? Why not do it?
Okay. All right. Now let me ask you this, because I did ask you this before about about what you specialize in. So when you get in your kitchen, ma'am, and you say, I'm finna just put this down and drop it like it's hot on the stove and create something, because the name of your company is Sweet Creations.
Right.
You know, what is your bread and butter? What's the thing that you get down with the most on cooking?
On cooking, my bread and butter would be my chocolate clusters, which I brought some for you guys today.
Jared, I see you dancing back there. Did you like the sound of chocolate clusters? That's our producers, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't get fed here anyway, so anytime someone brings in food, I'd always do a little jig.
I saw he had that river dance going in there.
Chocolate.
All righty then. So I want to congratulate you, Christine, on winning our contest, and tell the people how can they find out more about your business and how can they get in touch with you, and do you have any special offers for Night Storm Nation for getting in contact with you?
I do. For all the Night Storm listeners, I'm offering 20% off, and they can reach me at Twitter. It's called Create It Good. At Twitter.
We might want to spell that because we got people writing it down.
It's CreateItGood.
Create it good.
Create it good.
Where my plate at? I need a plate.
I can also be reached by phone at 678-933-4918. And then they can also email me at sogoodsweetcreations@gmail.com.
I hope Night Storm Nation had their pens and their pencils and their thumbs going on the smartphone, because you're going to want to get in touch with Miss Christine over here.
Yes.
So do all of you make sweets? Is it other things? Do you do other things aside just from cakes? Just to know.
There are other things that I make other than sweets, but my focus right now is just getting my clusters out there.
Yeah. Why don't you pass me a
cluster?
Pass you a cluster. There you go.
Thank you.
Nice Storm Nation,
goodness.
she got it wrapped up in a nice plastic bag. She got some clusters of chocolate in here.
Look at you.
Oh man, I'm
Did you tell her your favorite thing was chocolate?
I love chocolate.
He loves
the
chocolate.
Queen know I love chocolate. That's my kryptonite. But I want to thank you so much, man.
What occasions? Weddings? What do you come to?
Weddings, birthday parties, just because dinners.
All right. Okay, so you got that information. Make sure that you contact Christine, everybody. And what do you have to say about that, YG?
I want to say thank you so much, man, for bringing this, because now I always feel special waking up next to the Queen. But this really, really makes me feel special because she presented Night Storm Nation with some chocolate.
And 20% off.
At 20% off. And now we're going to keep this moving because we have another contest winner. But thank you so much, Christine at Sweet Creations. I appreciate it. And we're going to keep it moving to our next business owner. If you can roll that music. Thank you,
wait a minute now, Night Storm Nation. Make sure you got your pencils and make sure
I'm
they still
messed up over this
sharp. I
chocolate.
know, right? He just leaving me out of
this
it.
bag.
I'm supposed to be speaking next. Anyway,
I'ma shut up and
make
eat.
sure your pencils are still sharp and your pens are still writing and your thumbs are still going, because we have our next business owner coming at you.
There we go.
All
Thank
right.
you, Christine.
Our next Night Storm Nation business owner is coming to you from the east side.
Jill.
Yeah, his business is ATL Stereo, and he is ready to tell you how he can customize your ride now. Hello to Mr. Dustin Goolsby. Dustin, are you there?
I am here. How are you?
Oh, we are fine. We are fine.
Yeah.
Well, I am once again so proud to be on my brother's station. I'm happy. I got so much to offer. We do. I'm just proud of you. I don't even know how to say it. I'm just proud of you.
All right. Now I'm still eating some of this chocolate right here.
I hear you.
But I want okay. Now, why did you start your business, sir?
The love of music. There's nothing better when you get inside your car and you've had a long day and you pop in your favorite CD, no matter what it is, and the sound quality is perfect, and it just relaxes you from that day. And same thing in the morning. You get up, you need your little pep in the step. You just put your CD, your iPod, or whatever it is, and it makes your day. Music is the ultimate pleasure.
All right. Now, how long have you been doing this, Dustin?
I've been doing this for 20 years, and all of my installers that I have that work for me have been doing it for 15 plus years. We've been in the business for a long time, and I stand behind my guys. I love the business. It's about all. That's pretty much all I know is these cars.
Now, I got to go here. I got to ask you this because the ATL is full of places that customize cars with audio and everything. So, man, what make you different than everybody else who hooking folks' whips up?
Well, first of all, it's because of the 20 years experience. Have won everything on the East Coast you can win, including a world record. I think I have more experience than most. But on top of all that, I don't just work with all the high-end clients. I have radios starting at CD players with auxiliary starting at $69 and working the way up. I work with everybody. I do financing. 100 days, same as cash. Takes about 10 minutes to get you approved, all the way up to $2,500. I also work with your taxes. I try to help everybody. I'm not, you go into some shops and I want you to spend $1 million on this system. Well, not everybody has $1 million to spend on a system. Mm-hmm. Some people only have $100, and I'm here to work with everybody. All of my college students, my firefighters, my police officers, nurses, all the civil servants, they instantaneously get 15% off right off the rip because I appreciate them doing what they do.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You got to repeat that now. One more time. Say that part one more time, bro.
All of my college students, all of my police officers, firefighters, civil servant, if you are in the civil servant field, I give you right off the rip 15% off. I don't question it, not anything in that. If you're a college student and you're doing, and you have a 3.25 or better on your report card or your grades, transcripts, whatever, I work with you because we all been there, we all been struggling, and I help y'all out the most because I'm going to get old one day, and when I get there, I want to know that somebody I help will help me.
Cool.
Wow.
Beans. Now, I said that you were on the east side, but let Night Storm Nation know exactly where you are and give them a phone number because, your phone needs to be blowing up after that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's right. It's my address is 4959 Memorial Drive, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 30083. Best number to reach me is 404-296-6969.
Okay, and I know you're giving discounts to the civil service and to college students, but what about our Night Storm Nation listeners? What we get?
I was getting ready to say, I left save the best for last for all of my Night Storm listeners. If you come in and mention that you heard us on Night Storm, I will give you 20% off on your final bill.
See, that's what make him different.
No, he got the hookup. Holla if you hear me. All right, then.
I also want to let you know, I don't just do car audio. I do car audio, alarms, window tint, body kits, rims, tires. If you want to do something special to your car, I will do it. And if I can't do it, I know some of the best in the state. So, and I will get you the best price. It doesn't, I tell everybody you can't win on everybody, but if you make everybody happy, you win anyway.
All right.
Now, look here. I honestly appreciate you saying that, brother, especially about the civil service and the college folks. And I want to say, Night Storm Nation, there you got it. Now, as promised, Night Storm Radio is showing our Night Storm Nation listeners some love, and continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Night Storm Radio for future contest promotions. And don't forget, y'all, that you can advertise your businesses or services with us. Just send us a message and we can talk about getting your business or service out in front of the people. And one final thing, now, sweetheart, before we move on to our next guest, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our winter night out with the Night Storms in Alvin Alley winner, Mrs. Peggy Watson, whom we had the pleasure of also meeting her wonderful husband, Sidney, this past Sunday when we went out to see Alvin Ailey. And we had a great time watching a wonderful dance troupe. And it was always a pleasure for us to spend time with the Night Storm Nation.
Yes, it is.
And thank you, Dustin at ATL Stereo. Thank you, Christine Abdullah, for Sweet Creations. We appreciate it all. Now, we finna get into our next guest. And if you could cue that music, please. Yeah, now we play 5-Star Chick because she is a 5-star chick. Our next guest hails from Colorado, but grew up in Chicago, Illinois, where she earned her bachelor's and a master's degree in social work from Arizona State University. She has a strong background in psychology, counseling, and social work, as well as certifications in neurophysical reprogramming, bioenergetic synchronization technique, and psychological kinesiology. Psych K. Yeah, I said it right.
You did that.
Now her focus is healing physical as well as deep-rooted emotional issues. She is the author of the book, The Journey from Fear to Love is Shorter Than You Think, in which she describes her awakening into life and freed herself from mental, physical, and spiritual chains of her past. That's impressive. So, ladies and gentlemen of Night Storm Nation, without any further ado, it is my honor, privilege, and pleasure to introduce to you Mrs. Susan D. Wedgewood-Goudy. Yeah!
Hello, Susan. Welcome to
Wow,
the show.
thank you. That was a great introduction. Can you do it again?
Well, man, after doing our fair amount of research on you, you should be introduced like that everywhere you go. You are a Night Storm hero, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much. I'm pumped.
But we want to welcome you to the show, and we have read so much about you, and I love your mission statement. Listen to this, YG. Mm-hmm. Her mission is to help the universe, not just our measly little planet, but the entire universe.
The universe.
Become a better place by teaching people how to move away from the old, unfulfilling paradigms and beliefs toward a consciously created life that they'll love. Now, that's powerful. Mm-hmm. So, Susan, tell us, what does the journey from fear to love mean, and how do you people end up living in fear?
Well, for me, the journey from fear to love had to do with a trauma that occurred before I was even 3. And just the journey that I went through, realizing that in my life, how it affected me, and not really realizing until I was 19 how it dramatically affected who I was as a person and how I was living my life in fear because of the trauma that occurred so early on. And that's where the book came out of that fear that I wrote the book about the steps I took to heal. So it's really more about the healing and about becoming empowered. It's not so much about the trauma. And people end up living in fear in all different ways. I mean, mine was due to a specific trauma. I was sexually abused before I was 3 years old, and then went through my life not really understanding, like I said, how it affected me until I got older. And I realized I had all these different fears and didn't really understand where they came from. Mm-hmm. And when I was in school studying, that's when I became enlightened and started to understand, where that was coming from. But it could be anything. I mean, the environment you grew up in. If you're in an environment where there's a lot of fear around health issues mm-hmm. or money issues, then you can start to create those fears around those issues.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a coach as a kid that tells you'll never be good at this, you'll never be an athlete, you can have a fear around, being able to be physical, an athlete, or even go out for sports, or a teacher who tells you don't know how to do this, you're not good at math, any of those things. So I think that's where it really begins, is way back, and we kind of hang on to those things, and without understanding why. That's why we hang on to them, because we don't know where it came from.
Wow. Yeah. And I am so happy that you are coming out with this right now. And we are going to get really, really deep into this after the break. And we are just so happy that Susan has called here, and she is going to break down how we can get past some of these issues. And I'm going to even get into some stuff, and Toby going to get into some stuff, and Nightstorm Nation going to get into some stuff, and we going to be all right on the other end of the break. This is Nightstorm Radio on Love 860, and we will see you on the other side. Thank you very much.
To all event planners, are you worried that your next corporate get-together is going to be boring?
Then invite the Nightstorms to speak at your next event and electrify your organization as we break down how to grow your business, fix broken relationships, and conquer life challenges.
So make your next event epic. Invite me and the Queen to rock the house with inspirational techniques designed to empower individuals and maximize their true potential.
And thanks for listening to Nightstorm Radio on Love 860 AM WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational station.
We are you.
This is Toby George Nightstorm, a.k.a. Lady Nightstorm, and I'm known as the woman not afraid to tell the truth about how things really are. And the truth I have to say to you is you should listen to Nightstorm Radio every Thursday from 11 to noon. And you should also like us on Facebook at Nightstorm Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Nightstorm Radio. And join the Nightstorm Nation mailing list on nightstorm.com. That's NYGHTSTORM.com. Nightstorm Radio on Love 860 AM WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio station. We are you.
This is YG Nightstorm. And why should you listen to Nightstorm Radio? Because we relate to you or someone you know with topics taken directly from our lives. Every time you tune in, you'll hear a discussion about real subjects that affect real life. Why? Because me and the Queen have been there. So join us right here every Thursday morning from 11 to noon on Love 860 AM WAEC, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio station. Nightstorm Radio. We are you.
Hello, Nightstorm Nation. This is Toby George Nightstorm, a.k.a. Lady Nightstorm, and I have a question for you. How much are you spending each day on lunch? $6, $7, $10 even? Do you know that for less than what you spend each week on lunch, you can advertise your business or service right here doing the show on Nightstorm Radio? Why don't you inbox us on Facebook, send us a message on Twitter, or drop us a line at nightstorm.com. Let us show you how you can get your business or service out in front of the people. Now back to the show.
All right, we are back on Nightstorm Radio. And Susan, I want to ask you, what was your first step towards healing? And when I talk about healing, the fact that you were just opening up about a seriously traumatic issue is very, very deep and compelling, because I myself can understand where you've been, where you're coming from, because I was raped by a camp counselor when I was 10 years old, when I was 11 years old. So when you talk about coming back from something traumatic like that, and you talk about healing, what would be the first step from your expertise, ma'am, are some folks able to find some healing and some techniques that you practice to live closer to that love rather than fear, ma'am?
Well, for me, it was starting to pay more attention to what was going on in my life and how I was feeling, and becoming very aware of different things. And for me, I was physically in a lot of pain, and by the time I was 19, I could barely walk. I had so much physical pain and back pain that I actually thought maybe I was dying. Maybe I had some terminal disease, because I couldn't understand why it was so, uncomfortable. And I was told by a chiropractor that I had the back of a 50-year-old woman, and I was 19. Well, now I'll be 50 in June, and I feel 27. So
that's good.
The healing things that I did, I started to pay attention, and that, I think that's the first thing, is becoming aware and participating in your own life and deciding that, do I want it to be this way, or do I want some changes? And then observing and paying attention to what other people are doing who are having a life that you would like to have, and maybe start asking them questions. What do you do? What are you doing? And I sought out help because because I was wanting to be better and feel better and have this wonderful life. And I ended up using some hands-on healing techniques. Those, I think, can work really well because they go really deep, but they're really easy, they're not threatening, and they can get to the subconscious and get to that underlying stuff that's been buried there for so long that it can take that baggage, lift that off of you, but it's in a nice, easy way, and you can start to, become more aware of how you're feeling and take more control, and it's empowering. So 2 techniques I used are the best that you talked about, bioenergetic synchronization technique and Psyche, and both of those will dig deep, but they're non-invasive. They're just very gentle, and you don't have to do a whole lot of talking or anything because those techniques will just kind of pull the stuff out, and then you can start to deal with what comes out from there.
Okay. Now, what would you say our biggest fear is, in your opinion, and how do some people choose to stay a victim, or, as you say in your book, live in victimhood?
Well, honestly, I think our biggest fear is our own power. I mean, as humans, I don't think we really realize how incredibly powerful we are, and it's scary because when you realize that you are, this incredibly powerful person, then that means you can no longer play the victim because you have a lot more control than you think you have. Dr. Emoto writes in his book, The Hidden Messages in Water, that humans vibrate at 570 trillion times per second, which is incredibly powerful, which means we have phenomenal potential, but most of us deny that. And so I think it's when, I remember when I realized I had the power within myself, because I feel that I don't feel that God is separate from me. I feel that God is a part of me. So that power within me to help me heal and have the life that I want to have. But when I first realized it, I thought, oh, this is wonderful. That's freedom, and I can be empowered, and I can have this wonderful life. But my second thought was, oh, crap, that means I can't blame anyone else for any of my stuff. I can't blame my parents, my husband, my 4 children. God knows I've got reason to blame them for all kinds of stuff. But then you have to realize that, it's you have that power within you, and it's up to you to create the life that you want to have, and you do have the ability to do that. But the victimhood, I think people I call it the victimhood because I kind of see it as the dark black cape, kind of almost like death. I mean, you've got this hood on and you're staying in that victimhood because it's comfortable and it's familiar. And in some way it feels safer. I mean, to venture out and become this empowered person, that means, like I said, you're in charge now and you can't blame others. You have to take full responsibility and be 100% accountable for your life.
Yes, ma'am.
That means giving up the victimhood.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that is the most important statement of the day that you're saying, because even when I was going through my issue, ma'am, and, and just like you and just like Toby and a lot of the folks that's listening to us right now, people have gone through some seriously traumatic stuff. And even after I got raped when I was 11 years old in 1985, for a long time, I carried that victimhood for many, many years. And I felt that my power was taken away from me when I call him the wicked man when he did that to me. But the thing that has got me to come up out of that funk is that I am more powerful. I can do whatever I want to do. And I am bigger than this person that tried to take the power from me. And it was at that moment, ma'am, when I had to realize just how powerful and special that I am. And this person did not hold a grip over my life anymore. And I honestly appreciate the fact that you said that, because for so long, people who are in the victimhood, we might fall into that trap of blaming others, and we're ruining our lives and we're ruining the lives of everybody else. And then when we come up out of it, we improve our lives and improve the folks around us. So, and I want to bring this back to your book on when you're talking about getting your power back and coming out of that victimhood. How is this book written? Or better yet, who is this book written for, ma'am?
It's written for the person who's sick and tired of being sick and tired.
There you go.
Tired of being dragged down by their past and by the baggage that they've carried.
Yes.
And the person who wants to take their power back and have control because, as you go through something like that, and you've talked about your situation and my situation, you go through that in your life and you see what it does and how it takes away from you and how it affects your relationships with others. And you create relationships where those others are taking away from you too, because it just kind of goes through your entire life and it follows you around, and so it's written for the person who's ready, because I'm pretty blunt and I'm pretty straightforward. I use humor and I try to be funny and break the ice, because I think everybody can look at what I've written and most people can say, I've done that. I did do that. I do that, and then when they see where it came from, where were the roots from that? Where did it start? And when they can unload all that stuff, you change who you are as a person. And then you change what comes into your life because you've changed who you are. You change the relationships you have, how people treat you. Everything changes for the better.
All right. Well, Susan, we want to thank you so much for being on the show. So could you tell our listeners how they can find out more about your book, where they can buy it? I see it comes very highly endorsed.
Yes.
You can go to my website. It's journeyfromfeartolove.com, and it's available on Amazon, and it's also available on Kindle on the Barnes & Noble. So you can go right to the website and you can buy it there. And there's also a free, the first chapter is free on the website, so they can take a look.
Wow. So you know something. See, I got to say this, Susan. From one author to another, and from one person who has changed their lives to another, I want to personally thank you, ma'am, for sharing that story and willing to be transparent, to let people in on the real deal, and not only how you had to go through such horrible issues in your life, but also, ma'am, how you were able to get your power back and show people how to do this thing. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's some good stuff. Now, Susan, we done rolled into a segment called The Love Shoutouts. And Jared, if you can cue that music, because this is why you change your life, ladies and gentlemen, so you can show some love to folks. And folks will be able to open themselves up and show love to you. And in the love shout-outs, we give the Night Storm Nation members a chance to give some shout-outs to their sweetie pies. So what we got on here, sweet boo?
Yes, and we have all the love coming in now, and our first one is going to be from Gabrielle. And Gabrielle wants to let her best friend, her soulmate, and ride her through it all, her husband William, know that she loves him with everything, and there is nowhere else she would rather be than with him.
Now that's good stuff, and I think, I know folks gonna like this one. Now Solomon wants to tell his girl Denise that he has her back no matter what they go through. He is always there for her.
And Nancy and Michael are celebrating the birth of their first child. And Michael said his wife is more beautiful today than the day he met her.
See, that's a smart man. That's a smart man.
That is, because when we have those babies, we don't feel as beautiful as we did before it happened. So very good for you,
and I'm sure Susan can appreciate some of this stuff. Am I right, ma'am?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anybody special you want to send a love shout out to, ma'am?
Well, I'd have to send it to my entire family, my husband and my 4 children. They've been extremely supportive.
There you go. Thank you, ma'am. And I would be remiss, Night Storm Nation, as I am looking at my beautiful queen right now. I love you, baby. And I appreciate everything you do for me, for helping me get through my change and to help make my life better so we can help make other people's lives better. Thank you, baby.
Oh, and let me just say, baby, 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 baby. Baby, I love you. I love you so much, YG. Thank you for all your support and everything you do for this family and keeping us going and be the leader and the man that you are.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
All right, now. All right, and Night Storm Nation
Yes.
listeners, if you want us to send your love to that special someone on the air, send us a message on Facebook, on Twitter, or nightstorm.com, and we will make sure they know that you are thinking about them. And make sure you definitely follow us on Twitter, because that's how we pulled our radio winners that you heard today and from our website. Now, next week, we will be talking to the former castmate of the upcoming reality series, Single Moms of Atlanta, about her book and how she worked and triumphed over addiction and loss. And we will also be speaking to author, intuitive reader, and Earth Wisdom guide, Miss Evergreen Edmondson.
Yeah, now that sounds like another great episode for next week, and I want to thank you again to our guest, Mark Spivak, and our lovely winners of Sweet Creation Catering, ATL Stereo, and Miss Susan D. Wedgewood-Goudy. Thank you, man. We love you here at Night Storm Nation.
Thank you so much.
You have a great day, man. Thank you. Okay, so until next time, Night Storm Nation, this has been Night Storm Radio, and we have enjoyed ourselves.
Yes, we have.
This has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful show, and it's been eye-opening. We learned why dogs can be better than cats. Because I'm a dog person.
You did not say that. See, I knew you was going to put that in somewhere.
Dogs are better than cats.
Okay, whatever.
That's why CPT trained over 50,000 dogs and 80 cats.
All righty.
Yep. We
right
also
here,
see that we got this nice chocolate here.
Oh, that's all I just want to say. Right here is my chocolate. So once again, we love it all. We love the love. Keep following us. Stay informed. Right here on Love 860 AM, where
we are you. And make sure you visit our website, nightstorm.com. That's NYGHTSTORM.com for more info about me and the Queen. We love y'all. See you guys next Thursday, 11 a.m. right here on Love 860 AM, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio station. Bye.
Bye.